I was really a fan of some of the things they were able to do there. They obviously got a lot of points to try and clamber back on up, but I think WBG for me, other than DXavier, were the stars of that in terms of being able to hold that 2-2 split.
Not only just holding the 2-2 split, but more than that in the sense that they're continuing on, you know, providing even more points towards their corner. And I would say that if you're looking at this from a Game 3 standpoint from yesterday, John, I don't think anyone would expect Weibo Gaming to be towards the top of the standings right now. It's an incredible leap that they've had, huge leap that they've had, in fact. We'll be leaping right into our third game of the day here in Erangel with a plane path from Stalba down towards Primorsk. Again, we love these types of plane paths, gives everyone the opportunity to go wherever they need to be.
Should be fairly nice and organized. Are we going to see IHC and FaZe drop it on one another? Well, probably not, with FaZe dropping out towards Severny, Morph a little bit closer to them. Maybe they would like. Could be a little bit of trouble over on the North Point, but not with IHC.
S2G heading a little bit further down here. Udo Alliance actually up towards Stalba, taking the high ground for themselves. It's been a bit disappointing for Udo Alliance today, not being able to get themselves some big, consistent points is what they're known for. A lot of teams taking this now to the next level, especially with new teams starting to pop off, especially over on those Chinese squads with Weibo, Titans. To get a little bit more done here. DXavier in particular, very impressive on that last game. A bit more what I expect from them. And IHC, once again, running those numbers.
Trying to run up that flagpole, see if they can represent. South Circle, keeping a little bit of that military island in, so 4MV can get back into the fold, but likely we're going to end up somewhere in between Quarry and Pachinki, that sort of area of the map, almost over towards Gatka as well. We'll see just exactly where we do finish out, but the teams over on the east side going to have to start to shift over. That's going to force people around that Potato Hill area, around that Pachinki area, down towards that coastline to have maybe a little bit of a fight in order to make their way on in, because there's a lot of open ground to cover there.
Massively so. It's a difficult circle as well that we've got with the amount of water in it. To be honest, it's difficult to work with, but there is at least that caveat that on that eastern bridge, there's a potential for a lot of teams to be moving through that position, looping back up towards the north side. It's a bit more respite, honestly, because a fair few of these teams look more than likely to be locked out on the edge. Nungshan Red Force, where have they gone? Really would like to see a bit more from this team. Still putting up points game after game, though. Currently 6th place, 55 points, looking good. Pretty clear top 3 at the moment, John.
Seems to be quite a solid distinction, but DXavier, they're in 4th place. They're looking to try and chase. Obviously, if they can repeat their performance from the last match, they'll be in with a pretty decent chance of jumping up to meet them. The Vietnamese team would be very happy to be able to do so. I think that would be quite a turn up for the books as well. You liked DXavier. You had them in the conversation for quite a while. And obviously, I'm assuming you're going to be pretty happy to see them knocking on the door. 10 points behind the top 3.
Yeah, honestly, I was not a big fan of DXavier at all. And I'm not afraid to say that. Last year, even though they did fairly well, I do think a lot of that came down to luck. And there was a lot of camping going on, not a lot of smart rotations. But, you know, watching them grow this year, a few new additions to the squad, on their core, they've made a massive amount of improvement. I think that's the thing that really does earn my respect, in particular, is just improvement. And I think you can certainly see that with DXavier. So I would be pleased to see where they've come in a year's time to now with the smart rotations, excellent gun skill, really honing in on those nades as well, to be in a top 3. I think it will be tough for them to lap both Stalwart and Alpha 7 at the moment, who look like to be the true rivals. I mean, I called them arch nemesis apostrophe before this tournament started, which they certainly are, because both teams neck to neck right now.
Trying to keep pace. Easier said than done. Needing to find any advantage wherever they can. And to be fair, you're talking about improvement over the next year with the addition of that extra Super League season over in the SEA region. A little bit more chance of development as well, a little bit more practice on board. So we'll see if they're able to leverage that and continue their careers moving forwards. But for now, their sights are firmly set on Alpha 7 at the top of the tables. Weibo Gaming, third place, tied right now with Stalwart, but the tiebreaker goes to Stalwart. The chicken dinner difference right now. What's keeping them apart?
S2G on there, rotates now, moving down through the fields. Locking in as central as a position as it gets, considering the amount of water on the south side. Procedure Evos also attempting to make a rotate through on the northern edge, just the south edge out here of Everest. We do have Major Pride on our screens, you know. Nice improvement from them in terms of point standings as well, now up to 10th place. It's a good place to start as well. You know, it's one more good game away from getting in towards the top 5 bracket. Difficult to bring that sort of thunder back to back though, especially in a PMGC tournament.
With the circle shift, teams are taking up residency around the Gatka area. S2G drop on that split, but they've regrouped together. Playing up as 4. Pasija Evos a little bit further west, and Nongshim Red Force looking to fend off their position on this gas station, but it's only Sporter really in this locale. Suki, 97, turn the corner, and that's going to be curtains for the outpost of Nongshim Red Force. And you said it earlier, we really haven't seen much from this team, not in the way that we did in the first day. I talked about them a lot as in terms of this bastion of consistency, but it's starting to get a little bit watery here, Blank.
For Titans, yeah, I think that they've had a really good improvement today. It looks a lot nicer for them, you know. 3rd place over on Sandhawk. Managed to get far into that last game as well. So for this 3rd game, I'm hoping the Titans can do something similar. 8th place. Similar position right now to Major Pride, 1 good game away. Some good consistency coming through from them. See what they can get done this game though, because I don't really see a star player on their squad as of present. I think Shadow's definitely lightened up a bit.
I mean, certainly over on that Sanhok, right? Getting into the final 3, snaking his way forwards, had an impact. Did go down in the end though, Alpha 7, just a little bit too strong. Able to get that SK12 to do wonders for them. But it is not the performance you expect from PEL champions. Coming into this one, placing 8th right now. Instead it's Weibo, who have had a little bit more practice in this international lobby, who are putting the hurt down. 71 points, a resurgence, of course, from yesterday. They were down towards, after the first 2-3 games, they were down towards 15th, 14th place. A real change up from them.
Some good circles on their side. We'll put it that way for now.
True.
I mean,
ooh,
despite that, for Weibo Gaming, doesn't matter if you have good circles, you still have to convert, and I think that they've been doing very well on that front. And they've deserved some of these holds that they've been getting, especially versus Major Pride in that last game. That was not an easy one, but they managed to make it happen. Always, both those teams were always going to go down to DX Xavier in the end. It was really up to them who would be coming second here. CG Evos rolling on through.
On the south side as well, trying to make their way towards this circle shift, which is pretty nasty. A lot of teams on this northern shore going to have a tough time of it. 4MV, who stayed on that military island, going to have a better time for themselves. IHC and Major Pride coming into conflict here, and Major Pride will be losing out on a player. A knock sent back to IHC, but that's not going to get flushed because Major Pride just want to get away with this one, just want to get towards this next circle, but actually maybe towards S2G here.
Yeah, likely to wrap that way. And I think for Major Pride, they assumed that they would be heading over towards that western side.
Alpha 7 playing up on Ferry Pier. Playing the wall right now, nice and covered off. A little bit tricky to leave though, if there is a team looking out your way who's aware of your presence, and that will be 628. A little bit further northeast of them, on the east side of Ferry Pier. Xavier as well, conglomerated in the northeast point of it. A little bit split. It's a 3-1 right now for Xavier, but they're on the inside. They don't really have too much to worry about, especially with 628 on their west.
Stalwart tempting to get themselves. They're on the south side of the fields right now. Obviously, this is a pretty stinky circle, let's put it that way. Very difficult to play around with. It's sort of half and half, and I think that's the difficulty for a lot of these teams, is making that critical decision to head down towards the south edge on Sosnovka, because it could genuinely head there at the end of things. Xavier lose a player on the way in. Lamborghini. Xavier lose a player on the way in. Lamborghini. Rough knock to lose Lamborghini early on.
But they do make the cover. They do make that crossing and get into a building, get into a position, which is more than could be said for a couple of these other teams. It's going to be rough going for everyone. Udo Alliance, they've taken a knock. FaZe are looking to try and capitalize. Mormon nade over towards Olio, but doesn't quite get the knock. There's an answer, but it goes long. And Mormon evades the damage. Has another one cooking. 2 more in the back pocket. Wants to try and continue the engagement. Olio, unfortunately, steps into the nade. Takes the damage, and FaZe continue to move on through. Oh, another knock, unfortunately, steps into the nade. Takes the damage, and FaZe continue to move on through. Another knock sent to Udo Alliance, and they are really starting to flag right now. FaZe not going to be slowing this one down, and that is a shift. You said it was possible, Blank. I didn't quite believe in it, but there it is.
Yeah, it's half and half. That's the problem with it, right? Is that potential that this does head down towards the south side, and the only team to make that gamble was for Miracle Vibes, and I respect them for it, because this is one of the few circles where you can have that rare occurrence of heading over there. Can't really quite see the teams on the bridge right now. I wish I could tell you who's got the best opportunity to cross. Nongshim Red Force is around here, so is Weibo Gaming. You can see them now making the swim.
They're going early, and that could be critical. Not taking the bridge and going early might be actually a mistake here, as Nongshim Red Force moved up to the opening of the bridge, and they are certainly keeping their eyes peeled towards the water. Having to surface for breath could prove to be troublesome, but there's players across the bridge as well. 4MV are moving into position to make Nongshim Red Force's life harder.
Nongshim Red Force. Let's make wings on a embarrassing amount of HP. I think Weibo Gaming makes a mistake here to cross so close to the bridge. There's definitely safer paths in. And with this being at the PMGC right now, there are so many teams that want to take center earlier on. So many teams understand that this is a critical position to be holding. IHC has the right idea of it, getting underneath the bridge first. You can use these pylons as cover to get across underneath. Quick heal up inside the vehicle, underneath the water as well. Smart choice. And S2G now coming in from the backside. It's been a late entrance from them.
Going for the 400-meter freestyle, Blank, across this water gap. Got about 4 teams trying to make that. Obviously, Weibo Gaming not so lucky on it. Ventura is with a challenge against Loops right now, but both of them back off for the heal. The fight not really breaking out fully. Chief launching an aid long on the arm. Not going to find the tag just yet. Launches another, giving that smoke cover for Ayala to move on back. Ventura's lucky to avoid that one, but Ayala's very, very low. 2 tags, 2 tickles. And the first aid needing to be popped now, but Ventura's is cooking up. Something, it's Mel, however, to find the mark. And Ayala goes down, forward position for Loops.
And for Loops, there's really not a lot of confidence in these guys anymore. They just don't seem as strong as they used to be. Mythic at least finds Mormon on top of the rocks. They're locked in now. Towards this position. Chief out on his lonesome. Mela looks to put him down. The shot's coming across towards Cardozin and co.
S2G making their move, trying to get across the bridge on the top, and not actually too much resistance over the top of this bridge here. 4MV on the far side of it, but S2G can take a valuable spot here now. They've managed to get ahead of a lot of the teams who are hesitant to go across the bridge. However, there is very little cover from these sidelines. Ray-Z somehow not getting tagged up here and trying to stay alive, but it is unfortunate. S2G starting to come apart at the seams now. Nongshim Red Force still on those underpasses, but it is such a dangerous crossing to make, and S2G make the gamble.
Yeah, the issue is for S2G there is they try and cross the bridge, and there's a position on the bridge itself where you can actually force the buggy underneath. So you cross underneath the bridge onto the riverbed and then cross the actual channel itself. So for S2G, the two players crashing in the back has to change their plans.
Two teams that I'm looking at who have gone for that swim. Alpha 7 already across. They went far west, almost from beyond Ferry Pier, actually. DXavier crossing a little bit further out than Weibo Gaming. They've managed to make landfall on the far side, but they have lost a player. And in fact, Levi's is still out towards the islands, out on the swim islands, out on the swim. Titan trying to get away from this one. You'll be lucky. And I don't think it's going to happen for you. Precision EVOS actually taking a trade out their way. That's going to come from Titan, but the res should be very taking a trade out their way. That's going to come from Titan, but the res should be very possible. Precision EVOS can keep up as 4. However, the circle finally fully committed to the south. Sorry.
Yeah, I think for Alpha 7, they made the smart decision very early on, which was to wrap on that western side. And they made the gamble, actually. They might not have already been on that south island, but they were already swimming before that circle hit. And they knew they could do this because they claimed so much space on the western edge of Ferry Pier they could always come back. It's really difficult crossing through Ferry Pier in the first place. There's so many open sight lines to really shut you down. Stalwart, again, another smart crossing here. They don't go too early like Weibo Gaming. Get shut out. A lot of teams are now far too concerned with one another. Stalwart take a very opportune moment to cross. But yeah, I like the gamble from Alpha 7. I like the gamble from 4 Miracle Vibes. I do think the Alpha 7s was maybe a little bit better. I do think the Alpha 7s was maybe a little bit better, considering that they assumed it could go either way, right? And they had paths to come back to the North Island if necessary. So a very cool play from Alpha 7. DXavier across themselves. See them off in the distance on the beachhead. They're going to be loving that position as well to give them huge amount of points coming into this one.
The bridge now a main option for about 3 or 4 teams over on the north side. Still looking across. Misery looking to light them up, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade as Titan hold the nerve. Suki and 97 both still in action, but Shadow is down and 97 soon to follow. Just Suki now remaining. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade as Titan hold the nerve. Suki and 97 both still in action, but Shadow is down and 97 soon to follow. Just Suki now remaining. Procedure EVOS wanting to look for these reses. It's very, very tricky to find them though, and Suki has more in the back pocket. And he's going to be able to pull it out there, finding more knocks, finding some heals. They are just transferring these meds over, trying to last as long as possible. Stalwart on that central island have so much control over everybody else trying to cross, but as soon as that tank runs dry, they're going to have to make the crossing themselves, and they will be the fish in the barrel.
Yeah, it's tough, and I think you have to wait for this next circle to come through, which is why Stalwart's hovering on the edge of the circle here on that northwest side, because they understand that they need to wait for this to confirm down some place. That is probably the worst place for it to confirm as though, because if it moved over towards that further east, teams would have to head towards the ridge side, potentially down towards the building. But DXavier now can live here forever, which means at some point Stalwart's going to have to fight. It's a nice nade from east up on high.
Spots it as well, doesn't super give away the position. Out 4MV have been holding this bridge really, really effectively.
Gonna have to fight. It's a nice nade from east up on high.
Spots it as well, doesn't super give away the position. Out 4MV have been holding this bridge really, really effectively, but with the circle moving away, they're going to have to look for that transition. And IHC, they use those bridges, that bridge cover that you were talking about, to get that swim. 4 players still alive, making the landfall though the major task ahead of them.
Yeah, that's the difficult part, and 4 Miracle Vibes will happily pick up the pieces. They actually pushed very hard forward, did 4 Miracle Vibes. Curious play from them. Suki Lobs a nade, red face, happy about it, might try and lob one of his own, but it's East up on high to silence him.
Pinched away there. Suki able to find the plinks. And East going to be denied that opportunity. We'll have to move it out. Suki, not long for this world. But now with the shots ringing out, IHC aware of this presence all the way up on high. Not going to be too phased by it. Actually, Loops still have their Lone Ranger going. Chief this time around, uncharacteristically, not Cardozin. And there's the peak. And immediately for IHC, and 4MV want to change that fast.
I respect this from 4MV. They tried to get forward. They wanted to pick up as many eliminations as possible, but hasn't been majorly successful. 4 eliminations total from the amount of teams that had to make their cross is not, it's not a juicy one, is it, really? Let's be honest.
No. I think we've seen better bridge holds in terms of the points result for it. Alex down, and that is IHC out. Make it 5. 4MV, they've met their quota now. See if they can do a little bit more from that bridge position. But the circle moving away, let's...
Yeah, likely to be an Alpha 7 win here from the position they hold, and it's just been, again, another masterclass from this squad. Well, they wanted to play it out. What took their chances, they took their time with it. Top has to make an insane cross. Dips down, but East is going to keep firing, but this is one of his last clips.
He's very, very low on the ammo. I mean, that's the unfortunate result of holding out on the bridge, is nobody's actually managed positions where you've taken people. Doc's pretty healthy on the ammo, though. He's got plenty. Try and distribute that. 6-8, their last player falls to a nade. I wasn't expecting Sunan to be able to make it much further, and he will be out now.
4MV's going to be careful, because Alpha 7 wins, but for Morph, they've got an excellent angle over towards 4MV. Down, but both stalwart players did get themselves into a fairly decent spot. Some really nice long grenades.
On the angle of action. Baron dipping behind the net right now to the bunker. An opening knock is all that action needs to maybe have a little bit more to do, and that's what he's going to find over towards Baron. He knows Doc's further down. Step up though, and it's East for the challenge, and he has it. On the
distance, on the beachhead. They're going to be loving that position as well to give them a huge amount of points coming into this one.
The bridge now a main option for about 3 or 4 sides. Still looking across. Misery looking to light them up, but it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade. Titan hold the nerve. Suki and 97 both still in action, but Shadow is down and 97 soon to follow. Just Suki now remaining. Pasija Evos wanting to look for these reses. It's very, very tricky to find them though, and Suki has more in the back pocket. And he's going to be able to pull it out there, finding more knocks, finding some heals. They are just transferring these meds over, trying to last as long as possible. Stalwart option, but Shadow is down and 97 soon to follow. Just Suki now remaining. Pasija Evos wanting to look for these reses. Has more in the back pocket, and he's going to be able to pull it out there, finding more knocks, finding some heals. They are just transferring these meds over, trying to last as long as possible. Stalwart on that central island have so much control over everybody else trying to cross, but as soon as that tank runs dry, they're going to have to make the crossing themselves, and they will be the fish in the barrel.
Yeah, it's tough, and I think you have to wait for this next over to come through, which is why Stalwart's hovering on the edge of the circle here on that northwest side, because they understand that they need to wait for this to confirm down someplace. That is probably the worst place for it to confirm as though, because if it moved over towards that further east, teams would have to head towards the ridge side, potentially down towards the buildings. But DXavian now can live here forever, which means at some point Stalwart's going to have to fight. It's a nice nade from East up on high.
Spots it as well, doesn't super give away the position. 4MV have been holding this bridge really, really effectively, but with the circle moving away, they're going to have to look for that transition. And IHC, they use those bridges, that bridge cover that you were talking about, to get that swim. 4 players still alive. Making the landfall, though, the major task ahead of them.
Yeah, that's the difficult part, and 4 Miracle Vibes will happily pick up the pieces. They actually pushed very hard forward, did 4 Miracle Vibes. Curious play from them. Suki lobs a nade, red face, happy about it, might try and lob one of his own, but it's East up on high to silence him.
Pinched away there. Suki able to find the plinks, and East going to be denied that opportunity. We'll have to move it out. Tsuki, not long for this world. But now with the shots ringing out, IHC going to be aware of this presence all the way up on high. Not going to be too phased by it. Actually, Loops still have their Lone Ranger going. Chief this time around, uncharacteristically, not Cardozo. And there's the peak. And immediately Alex is on the ball. 2 players alive for IHC, and 4MV want to change that fast.
I respect this from 4MV. They tried to get forward. They wanted to pick up as many eliminations as possible, but hasn't been majorly successful. 4 eliminations total from the amount of teams that had to make their cross is not, it's not a juicy one, is it, really? Let's be honest.
No. I think we've seen better bridge holds in terms of the points result for it. Alex down. That is IHC out. Make it 5. 4MV, they've met their quota now. See if they can do a little bit more from that bridge position. But the circle moving away, let's talk about the lay of the land now on this South Island. Everyone who can cross has crossed. Alpha 7 on that southwest edge in a really, really solid spot. DXavier playing with 2 players, have got the compound on the northwest side of it. Morph as well. Look at a move in on the east.
Yeah, likely to be an Alpha 7 win here from the position they hold, and it's just been, again, another masterclass from this squad. Well, they wanted to play it out. Nerzed getting ripped to pieces. Either way, Stalwart took their chances. They took their time with it. Top has to make an insane cross. Dips down, but East is going to keep firing, but this is one of his last clips.
He's very, very low on the ammo. I mean, that's the unfortunate result of holding out on the bridge, is nobody's actually managed to make it across and deliver you their crates with the ammo inside. So you need to be a little bit more careful, need to be a little bit more proactive now, try and roll over some positions where you've taken people down. Looks like Doc's pretty healthy on the ammo though. He's got plenty. Try and distribute that. 6-8, their last player falls to a nade. I wasn't expecting Sunan to be able to make it much further, and he will be out now.
4MV's going to be careful because Morph's actually headed up towards this ridge side now. You can see that. Alpha 7 wins, but for Morph, they've got an excellent angle over towards 4MV. Nerzed goes down, but both Stalwart players did get themselves into a fairly decent spot. Some really nice long grenades does take down top. Action left remaining, who is taking some gorgeous shots over towards him.
East trying to shimmy out the side of the rock and get an angle on the ankle of Action. Baron dipping behind the vehicles. That's a little bit too wide, and maybe Morph have something to say about it. Another nade over towards top. Doc's close by. Action knows he's there, but can he do anything about it? With East covering off his position, he can't really stand up at all, and is just pinned in right now to the bunker. A nade, an opening knock is all that Action need. Maybe have a little bit more to do, and that's what he's going to find over towards Baron. He knows Doc's further down to his left, into that smoke. Has to step up though, and it's East for the challenge, and he has it. On the floor, waiting, biding his time.
Mate, what is Morph doing? Why are they giving up on this? It doesn't track. I mean, at the end of the day, you can try and get this high ground over on this side, but you're still going to have to clear out 4MV at some point.
Ooh.
Nice shot from Mafioso there. Leaves DXavier down to just the 1 player. But Morph could have easily cleaned up 4MV. 3 elimination points. Now they leave the backstab still in play. Not sure I agree with that. Felt strange that it was up to Action in that situation. I mean, he was doing quite well with it too.
If you're Morph, you probably lack a little bit of confidence right now. They are not doing well on the tables. And with Rocky going down, they're going to be cut to 2 by 4MV, the team that they could have swelled on over. And I think it is just a lack of confidence for this roster. Now it's up to Alpha 7 and 4MV, the major forces in this lobby, trying to move in from the southwest and the northeast. But Alpha 7 have taken a knock here. Morph losing 1 or 2 more, and Morph are out.
Yeah, this is probably one of the most clear mistakes we've actually seen in the PMGC so far. 4MV up to 10 eliminations. East with 6 of them. Great hold over towards that bridge side. And Baron trying to wrap around. I am so confused by the performance there coming through from Morph. 4 Miracle Vibes essentially just get a free fight over towards Stalwart. And a free couple of eliminations over towards Morph in the end game. Alpha 7 know they need to get rid of this team. Surely they heard the third party come through. Chua though, just needs to live this one out. A 2nd place, brilliant news for them.
DXavier would be happy to convert on that match we just saw from them. on the first airing goal. Looks like East knows there's a player inside Soda. Alpha 7, Mafioso has got the bead. He almost knows exactly where he is. Look at that. I think he saw a backpack shimming around. Jaws holding his nerve. And that leaves Mafioso almost forced to maintain this off angle. And he is going to find the sliver of a pixel there onto Chua. But it keeps him on the back line, which means it's a 3v3 on the southeast.
4MV hears the shots, decide that they want a piece of the action. East first to face. There is a knock towards Revo. The call for Mafioso to regroup probably coming through now. Molotov and Doc gets away, so all three players still surviving this one. Well, very interesting finish here, John.
Alpha 7 do fully lose Revo there. Carrillo almost naded out as well. Could have been disastrous. He's caught on the cross. East needs to tag one more shot, but Carrillo hits the deck, gets up again, makes the dash, looking to try and get across to safety. Needs to heal, and with Mafioso over, it's the time for Troa to try and start to move forwards here. Needs to try and find something if DXavier want that second place, but a 3v3 atop hill. Alpha 7 have the inside track.
Yeah, Baron, I think he knows that Chua down toward the building below. No matter what Chua does, likely that both teams understand that getting rid of him first, ideal scenario, right? Both teams then confirmed at least a second place.
Getting that smoke out for Baron so he can maintain that angle over towards Chua. Don't think he has a vehicle there. And he is the only reason that this fight hasn't really bubbled over, in my opinion. I mean, you can see Mafioso going back to take this angle after getting that ghillie suit on board. Has the Groza as well to back up the Mini 14. Chua open into the ground and is doing pretty well to stay alive here, but not for much longer. Mafioso finally gets that tag on. Alpha 7, 5 eliminations and a chance to take another chicken dinner here to try and solidify themselves towards the top.
Yeah, nice game from DXavier. I'll give them that. They got far from a difficult position. A nice early rotate gets them there. Alpha 7 versus 4MV. Mafioso with the Groza. Low ammo on it, 2 clips left.
Didn't have a lot of 772. Completely forgot the numbers.
762.
762, there you go. Goodness me. Got completely muddled up there, but the Groza a little bit lacking on the ammo. Still plenty of Mini 14 left in the barrel. And the rest of the team as well to back it up. So you're really going to need at this stage. To this point, you see teams start to drop those backpacks sometimes. You start to see them shed them to try and get a lower profile out in this open terrain. 4MV shimmying around, and actually it's pretty even on the lineups in terms of who has the center of this circle. Actually, with that reposition coming through from Carrillo, it's given 4MV maybe a little bit of an advantage.
Eventually, 4MV is going to have to take the fight to Alpha 7, but it's Alpha 7 has to crest this ridge side, right, which leaves them open. Mafioso tries to go as wide as possible. He knows that the Groza isn't going to be extremely effective, so information being passed back, so can take advantage of that Mini 14 in the open ground. Doc, though, spots over towards Carrillo, maybe tries to open things up here, but you can see Mafioso has clear line of sight.
He is being vigilant now. Carrillo trying to bait out these shots. Moving north to south along their line. Not getting anything now, it's going to get a little bit more bold. Dipping into 4MV territory, actually hops out. I think he might have spotted East, I'm not entirely sure, but he's got the nade on target. I'm fairly certain now that he's seen it. The nade is not quite on the target, it goes a little bit long. It looked like it was good, but stepping up now, East has got the shots in the back pocket. Mongolia looking to stop the ascension of Alpha 7 away from Stalwart, but it might not be that easy. East is still here to play. Baron for the backup, and now there's only one player on Alpha 7 left. Up on the top of the hill, Senab needs to come in clutch.
Senab with a big task in front of him. East moves forwards, looking to finish this off with the DBS of his own. Senab tries to deal it, but cannot. For Miracle Vibes, the Gamblers head down towards the south first here. Will pick up the game, follow up with another bit of utility. He does with a Molotov, but tracks him wonderfully well.
Incredible stuff coming from 4MV. You called them the Gamblers. They were rolling the dice staying on that military island and pushing up towards that bridge position. Clearing out everyone on that other angle and making it work to move back down south at the mercy of Morph. Being allowed that opportunity. And I feel like East has to be the MVP here. It's got to be.
Yeah, I think for 4MV, there is that slight thing in your mind that they get gifted a win off the back of Morph just running away. Yeah,
Maybe.
They had a couple of options that fight, items, run away. They chose run away every single time. Was a little bit unfortunate because they could have absolutely taken the second place themselves. Could have Morph